Hello and welcome to our presentation. What will you do when the next virus comes for you? This is an in-depth look at clinically validated antiviral therapeutics, and I'm Dr. Matt St.JOHN. We have a plethora of viruses, bacterium, parasites, and fungus that our world is saturated with and are trying to get into our bodies. From malaria to roundworm, pneumonia to HSV2, the avian flu, ringworm, coronavirus, hep C, yellow fever, tapeworm, HSV1, swine flu, candida, influenza, the Epstein-Barr virus. So many things are attacking us, not only in this country, but globally. What did we use before COVID-19 for the influenza and other viruses at St. John's Nutrition? Let us introduce you to P73, also known as oil of oregano. Carvacrol is the primary active ingredient in oregano oil. Here we see a study discussing Carvacrol and influenza. The conclusions of this study is that the results indicate that Carvacrol is a potent alternative treatment for the excessive immune response induced by influenza virus A infection. And speaking of viruses, here we have a study showing Carvacrol and HIV-1. It discusses oregano oil and its principal component, Carvacrol, inhibiting HIV-1 fusion into target cells. In summary, the results show that oregano oil, Carvacrol, and thymol are inhibitors of HIV-1 entry, and that they may offer promise as supplements to current HIV therapeutic strategies. This study discusses Carvacrol and its effects on the bronchitis virus. And I don't know if you remember, but when you would go into Walmart during the pandemic and you would walk into the lobby area where the buggies were, did you notice a potential smell, maybe some sort of a mint or maybe a menthol type of smell when you walked in? If so, you smelled Carvacrol and thymol. We walked into a local Walmart and asked one of the associates to take us into the back and show us what they sprayed on the buggies and throughout the lobby. So these were the essential oils, and these were the preventative measures that Walmart used during the pandemic to ensure that its customers did not spread or get infected with COVID-19. Madagascar is an island country just off the coast of Africa. It has around 27 million people, and they're also known for their lemurs and wildlife. Now, what did Madagascar use for COVID-19? You see the president there turning up a bottle of something. He did it on national television about 3 months before there was an assassination attempt on his life. Artemisia. An overview of the anti-SARS-CoV-2 properties of Artemisia anna, its antiviral action, protein-associated mechanisms, and repurposing for COVID-19 treatment. It seems they were onto something over in Madagascar. This study mentions Artemisia hot water extract showing potent activity in vitro against COVID-19 variants, including the Delta variant. This series of slides, a little bit hard to read, but pretty clear if you look closely. You will not find this information anywhere else, and you cannot find this information anymore online. Thankfully, we took these screenshots as it was happening. In November the 11th of 2021, you had a 7-day average of 6 cases in Madagascar and no new cases for that particular day. Now, if you look over at the United States, you see that their new case level, our new case level here in the United States, was 64,000. Over 64,000. Now, that's an example of Madagascar compared to the United States. Now, if you look on the bottom 2 charts, you see this is an observation of the number of population in Madagascar and the United States that were fully vaccinated. And you notice that Madagascar has less than a 1% full vaccination. And this is on November the 11th of 2021, yet they have no COVID-19 and only a 7-day average of 6 cases. Whereas the United States has a 58% fully vaccinated population in this particular slide, and their 7-day average is 74,128 people with COVID-19. Now, what do you think was more effective, Artemisia or COVID vaccines? What about other countries? Madagascar here we compare to the United Arab Emirates. United Arab Emirates are well known for being very, very highly vaccinated. Here you have the COVID-19 new cases for February the 25th at 0, with a 7-day average under 100 on February the 25th of 2022. And on the same day over in the United Arab Emirates, you have new cases just under 700 cases. Now this next part will be even more interesting. By this time, they've convinced a whopping 3% of folks in Madagascar to take COVID-19 vaccines, which would of course attest to why they were having more COVID-19. But if you look over at the fully vaccinated rate for the United Arab Emirates, you're almost at 100% fully vaccinated. Once again, if vaccines worked, that would of course be opposite. But lo and behold, the World Health Organization cautions against the use of Madagascar's antivirus quote-unquote potion. I wonder why. Once again, you've already seen clear studies demonstrating the effectiveness of Artemisia alone against COVID-19 in studies that we were introduced at the beginning of these slides, and yet you have the media spreading lies. Myth, herbal tonics made from the Artemisia plant in Madagascar can treat COVID-19. They say this is not true. The plant is not known to treat COVID-19, folks. Those studies you saw a second ago, forget them. They want you to forget these effective studies. They want you to forget the studies that were showing that Artemisia and Carvacrol are effective against COVID-19. They want to make sure that that you focus on things like malaria and so forth, and that COVID-19 is caused by a virus. Even though malaria is a parasite and viruses are parasites as well. This is an example of how you cannot trust the media, you cannot trust the World Health Organization, and you cannot trust any of those sources for your health care. In fact, it was so effective, what Madagascar was doing, other countries, other African countries are importing Madagascar's herbal tonic dubbed as a COVID-19 cure. Now, this has to scare the folks in the WHO to death. You remember the president. Well, here we noticed this little news article in August the 1st of 2021. He hadn't had COVID for very long, and also he had just gotten on national television. It seems that some high-ranking army and police officials have been arrested in Madagascar in connection to a failed attempt to kill the country's president. Imagine that. All right, so while the media Karens were doing their thing, and while the World Health Organization was doing its thing, and the CDC was trying to figure out what thing to do, and Dr. Fauci was telling people 3 different things to do in the same week that all contradicted each other, what were we doing at St. John's Nutrition? Well, we made the most powerful antiviral known to humankind. Over 420,000 people to date have used P77 oil effectively to prevent COVID-19. P77 is a potent, clinically validated antiviral. P77 takes St. John's Nutrition P73 oregano to the next level with a potent addition of beta-pinene and artemisia to the already potent blend of Carvacrol and hemp seed oil. Using this blend of proven antivirals, users have reported instant activity and results after the first dose. P77 has a myriad of supporting clinical research for its use against the SARS-CoV-2 virus, and it's been used successfully by thousands prior to its release by the public, or to the public by St. John's Nutrition. Let's discuss beta-pinene. This article discusses the effects of beta-pinene, a pine needle oil monoterpene, on the adenovirus type 3. Beta-pinene inhibited the viruses stronger than the reference antiviral medication ribavirin. Inhibition of the viral cytopathic effect increased with increasing the concentration of beta-pinene, which attested to direct elimination of the adenovirus type 3. During viral reproduction phase, beta-pinene significantly inhibited the proliferation of adenovirus type 3. It significantly increased the cell survival rate, and beta-pinene directly inactivates adenovirus type 3 and impedes its invasion into the cells. This article discusses beta-pinene and the herpes simplex virus, antiviral activity of monoterpenes beta-pinene and limonene against herpes simplex virus in vitro. The conclusion says that these results suggest that the monoterpenes in essential oils exhibit activity in the early phase of viral multiplication and might be used as potential antiviral agents. They might be, and they are. This article discusses the use of essential oils, in particular alpha and beta pinene, in the treatment of COVID-19. The monograph shows that forest products containing alpha and beta pinene, pine and larch syrup, and amber are very effective in the treatment of COVID-19. And how about Carvacrol in relation to COVID-19? We already knew this was a strong antiviral. This article discusses Carvacrol and murine norovirus, stomach virus. It mentions the antiviral efficacy and mechanisms of action of oregano essential oil and its primary component Carvacrol against murine norovirus. Here we have yet another study on Carvacrol discussing it and its relationship with the herpes simplex virus. The study discusses Carvacrol and its effect on strep. Carvacrol exhibits rapid bactericidal activity against strep through cell membrane damage. Our study revealed that Carvacrol kills ST.JOHN primarily by compromising the cell membrane integrity, leading to cytoplasmic content leakage and ultimately bacterial cell death. In the base oil carrier for the P77 is hemp seed oil. Let's discuss hemp seed oil. This article discusses hemp seed oil and SARS-CoV-2, the assessment of antiviral potencies of cannabinoids against SARS-CoV-2, computational and in vitro approaches. Our findings suggest that cannabidiol and delta-9 tetracannabidiol are possible drugs against human coronavirus that might be used in combination with other drug molecules to treat COVID-19 patients. And this article goes on to show that cannabidiol inhibits SARS-CoV-2 replication and promotes the host innate immune response. The discussion says our results suggest that CBD can block SARS-CoV-2 infection at early stages of infection, and CBD administration is associated with a lower risk of SARS-CoV-2 infection in humans. And since the beginning of 2022, even the media has mentioned that Oregon State research shows hemp compounds prevent coronavirus from entering human cells. More on Artemisia, as we saw with Madagascar. Just one of the active ingredients of Artemisia is artesunate. Here we see artesunate's effectiveness against things such as Epstein-Barr virus, herpes simplex virus, hepatitis B, hepatitis C, and HIV-1. This study discusses the effects of the Artemisia plant and its components against respiratory viruses like influenza and their mechanisms of action. And if you notice, there's a lot of mention of HIV in relation to Artemisia. Artemisia is shown in this study to have effectiveness against HIV infection. The study provides the first in vitro evidence of an anti-HIV activity of the Artemisia annua infusion. P77 is not just for viruses. Here we see clear evidence, according to the National Institutes of Health, of Carvacrol's antibacterial and in particular its anti-MRSA activity within the body. In discussing Artemisia's antibacterial properties, it was actually compared to the commercially available antibiotic streptomycin, and it was found to have the same antimicrobial capability as this medication. Of course, a wise person would probably just use Artemisia alone. These two articles discuss the antiparasitic modalities of Artemisia and of Carvacrol. And Carvacrol, as well as Artemisia, has been shown to be very effective against candida and other forms of fungus in the body. This study discusses the antifungal activity of beta pinene, and it said that it exerted a good antifungal activity against the plant pathogens, exhibiting good and broad spectrum antifungal activity. We live in a world full of bacteria, viruses, fungus, chemicals, and a lot of other things that are not good for us and are attacking us daily. It's very important for us to have a strong foundation and also for us to have a plan of preparedness. We hope that that plan of preparedness for you involves having on hand P77 oil. Thank you for watching this video, this presentation, and we look forward to helping you and serving you in any way possible at St. John's Nutrition.